Welcome to the Liquidity Event, a show about all things personal finance with a laser focus on taxes, financial independence, and equity compensation. Hosted by AJ and Shane of Brooklyn FI, each episode will focus on a personal finance topic, some driven by news headlines and sometimes driven by listener questions. And sometimes you'll just get two money nerds rambling about what they think is interesting. Just a quick note before we get started, this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered tax or investment advice.
Hello and welcome to the Liquidity Event. We're your hosts, Shane
and AJ.
Hey there, AJ.
Hey,
this is
Shamey.
episode 118, being recorded on September 10th, airing September 13th. Quick reminder for you listeners, we will answer your questions on the pod. If you leave us a message, we have some today that we're excited to answer. If you want to leave one, you can disguise your voice and use a fake name if you're shy or silly, or both, like my exes. And the link is memo.fm/the liquidity event. That's it. AJ, what's up? How you doing?
You waiting for a modifier at the end of that sentence? I'm doing great. Well, I am back in Brooklyn briefly before I head back out to California. Where are you?
I'm in Denver. I came here for a concert. I flew from Italy to Denver to see
Direct?
No, thank God, no.
Rome to
Rome to
Boulder?
JFK to Denver. I don't think there's any Rome directs to Denver under private, barring some private flights. Yeah, no, I didn't book the private jet to come see.
Bummer. Yeah, sorry, I had it upstate. Apologies.
Oh yeah. The BKFI private jet was busy.
It was occupied.
AJ did a Taylor and flew 1 hour north to Poughkeepsie.
I was near Poughkeepsie, actually.
I saw.
Actually,
tagged the golf tourists on your Instagram, and I was like, "Where is this hoe? Where is this little?" I had no idea if you were in Scotland.
Okay, speaking of Taylor Swift and upstate New York, so Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were in New York City. Whatever. Okay. We'll talk about Taylor Swift more, how it relates to you and your future in a moment. Anyway, Taylor Swift was in Brooklyn, and I was upstate with my friends, and we were at this little fancy upstate boutique hotel and bar. We were having some drinks, and we were like, wouldn't it be so funny if Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce just walked in and they were staying at this lovely fancy retreat? They did not. However, a serious Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce doppelganger couple walked in 5 minutes later, who were obviously trying to do that, and we lost our minds and were almost asked to leave because we were laughing so hard. So anyway. Speaking of Taylor Swift,
was he wearing the Gucci hat?
Yeah, he full on was trying to dress like Travis Kelce. It was very funny. Speaking of Taylor Swift and Shane Mason, I would like to discuss a proposed update to our fantasy football Biggest Loser competition. Last week we discussed what my punishment would be, which is that remind me what my punishment is.
I will buy a ticket to an unknown destination. I will buy a ticket for you. You won't know where you're going, and you got to spend a weekend in that town. It's not going to be New Guinea.
It's not going to be a good contiguous 40 U.S. or 48 states.
That's correct. Yes, on the
How
continent.
many states?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Continuous 48.
Yeah.
It'll be one of those tickets that's $150 round trip to. I'm not going to put you on Spirit Airlines. I promise. It'll be a Delta
Spirit.
flight.
It has to be Delta.
It'll be a Delta flight.
That's the demand. It doesn't have to be one flight. It could be two flights. It could be a little stop.
It'll be a Friday night, 2 nights, 2 days, Friday night through Sunday morning. And
I have to pay for my stuff though when I'm there.
You're
or you're
on vacation, but I'm sending you somewhere.
Somewhere horrible. Okay. All right. So
What? You're already ahead. Did you win your game over the weekend?
No, I'm in 12th place. No,
okay. We're both in 11th. We're tied for last place.
No, you're winning. You're in 7th place. No, you're fine.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tend not to log into that thing. Anyway, so.
Oh, I don't either, but our team posts it in Slack, so that's where I.
Don't lie. You got 4th place last year. I saw you switching out players.
Only at the last minute because Dan made me. Dan was like, your entire bench is injured, which I didn't. Anyway. I regret that. Anyway, okay. So the update is previously we discussed sending you to a Taylor Swift concert. The more I thought about that, I was like, I don't like that because you're taking away someone else's joy by having a spot there. And I didn't like that. And it was going to be expensive. So I was like, nah. All right, here's the update. Are you ready? Gird your loins, motherfucker.
Well, we had to change it because I'm just not.
It's
doing
also
the last
impossible.
one.
It's
I'm
also
not
like
spending $2,000
too much
to
money.
be miserable for
Too much
5
money.
hours. Yeah.
Update for you. You have to get, of your choice, approved by me, a Taylor Swift related tattoo.
Oh God.
Of your choice. Has to be at least half an inch big, anywhere on your body. You have to do research and you have to come and present to me the board of Taylor Swift tattoos, why you have chosen this particular image or lyric or word or initials. And then we will proceed.
Oh man.
So for the rest of your life, you will be branded.
This doesn't feel very fair. You get to go on vacation and I have to get a Taylor Swift tattoo. You really know how to get under my skin.
You already approved my loss.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Okay, I'm open to revisions, but that's my current
I'm
proposal.
trying to remove tattoos. I'm in the tattoo removal phase.
Okay, maybe it's not a
tattoo removal services.
I was gonna make you wear a Taylor Swift shirt, but then I just realized that every girl in the world would throw themselves at you.
Yeah, no,
we can't do that.
That would work against you.
Anyways,
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not the. It has because
noodle on
there could be good Taylor content. I just haven't found it yet. I read a bunch of her lyrics and I could not find something that I would get tattooed on my body. But I'm open to workshopping this.
Yeah, it could be anything. Like I want you to immerse yourself in the lore and find something that's meaningful for you and put it on your body.
Travis's Gucci outfit was heinous. That was.
I know.
So
he's looking good
unfortunate.
though. His face and hair is looking good. He fixed that whole situation. So
if
we
he
feel
wasn't
good about
dating
that.
Taylor Swift, you would hate this person.
I would have never heard of him in my entire. This person wouldn't have even crossed my.
Right. It's like the state of Kansas. You would not know it existed. I've
driven through Kansas twice.
Okay. I love the meme that you posted where a horrified Taylor Swift realizes that football happens every year.
I was like,
really
that's why when an Onion headline is good, it's so good. Anyway, what do we got today? We have 3 listener questions. Man, the listener inbox has been popping off, except one of them's not really a listener question. It's just a Reddit question that piqued our interest because it is so needy. Should we read this entire question or do we just want to sum it up for us?
I think you should read the whole question if we're going to expose the listener to...
I'm just going to summarize it because it's like,
okay.
it's long. Okay. Basically, we're in our early 50s. We have household income of around 800,000. Oh, by the way, this comes from the Rich People Personal Finance Reddit. So this is kind of, it's people are self-electing themselves into being defined as a rich person and posting their financial problems on Reddit. So I
kind of get that. As a frequent Reddit peruser, there is like personal finance questions like, should I get a credit card? And this person has a net worth of $9 million. So there needs to be a separate area.
Totally agree. However, which we'll talk about, I take issue with the fact that they're getting their financial advice from strangers on the internet. Anyway, they've got $9 million between brokerage and retirement plans. They have a cash crunch. They haven't put any new money into their investment accounts since 2018 because they've had a lot of cash needs. They just spent $1.3 million as a down payment on a new home. They've remodeled that home, so I'm guessing that was another $1 million. Needs to purchase some stock, preferred equity at the company that one of them works at. And basically, they only have $400,000 in cash left over. They've got a kid who's about to go to college. They don't have 529 plans. Jesus Christ. Anyway, they're spending about $200K a year. They are estimating that they'll spend about $2,000 a year in retirement. That seems unlikely considering how much they're spending now. I bet they'll spend way more. Anyway, they did some calculations and they think they need to have X cash. And basically they're saying, is $600,000 in cash the right amount of cash to have? Or should I invest more of that in the stock market? And they asked this question on Reddit.
Yeah. I mean, having $600,000, what a privileged position to be in. I mean, these questions about cash crunches always tend to come up right around a real estate transaction, right? Like, I have not been cash crunched. You have not been cash crunched despite 5-6 years of, Brooklyn 05 being a roller coaster of net income versus investments in the future. And this is probably going to be our best year ever. And this is also the tightest cash crunch that you and I have ever been in.
Can I tell you a secret?
Do we still have secrets from each other? I didn't know that. Yes,
Well,
please.
I already told you the secret, but I'm going to tell our listeners the secret. You guys, I overdrafted my checking account for the first time in 15 years last week. And you know why? Home renovation. It's just expensive. It's just a lot of cash flying everywhere, right? Like, so
Why didn't you use a credit card?
I did use a credit card. It was my fucking auto pay of my statement balance that sent me over. It was Amex going, money, please.
Money, please.
Anyway.
One of the best characters on Parks and Rec.
Yeah. So it's okay to overdraft your checking account, but that probably means you can't afford your renovation or you've gone overboard. Anyway, what should these folks do? They're obviously stressed out because they're asking Reddit what they should do. What do you think they should do? They have $800K in income, but it's and they're maxing out their retirement accounts, which they're over 50. They have $120,000 that they're putting into 401ks each year and IRAs, I assume as well, but not 529 plans, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, they fucked up the 529 area. They definitely should just get ahead and I don't know. They don't say what state they're in. So if they're in a state wherein it doesn't,
these
you don't
people
get
are
a tax
in California,
deduction.
obviously.
Probably in California. So if you get the tax deduction, it's a no-brainer. You just 5-year fund the 529.
Quick. Just a refresher. 529 plan, college savings account. Certain states you get a tax break for putting money into them. We at Brooklyn, if I believe it's a great place to park your investments, whether you have kids or not. So the fact that they don't have one is maybe a little bit of an oversight in a financial plan, because even if you don't get the tax break for it going in, that money as it grows does not get taxed each year. It behaves in the same way like a 401k does. So to not have money in a 529 plan with kids who are 18, having this much money in brokerage accounts just doesn't add up for me.
Just move it over. Just take $75,000 from your brokerage account and move it into the 529. It's just a transfer. And worst case scenario, they don't use all that money for college and then it grows tax advantage for the next 30 years. I mean, people forget that 529 plans are just an extra 401k. If you're already maxing out your 401k and your HSA and you have that, I mean, even if you don't have kids, you should be maxing out a 529 before you start funding your brokerage account. Hot take. But yeah, you just move that over. If you get a deduction, then great. If not, then it's in a tax advantage account. Do I do that? I don't even max out my 401k.
Right.
So no, I don't do that. But I have.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I do make contributions to my nieces and nephews' 529s every year. Okay. So I'm a good person. In summary, I'm a good person.
Okay. Shane would you would like some flowers and accolades. I do that. Yeah, I do the 529. And I follow that advice. I do that before brokerage.
Yeah, that's cool. You should do that. And what else? So they're making $800K and they think that they need 3 years of savings in order to 3 years of spending. What are they trying to say?
Yeah, they're trying to say they need. Yeah, so basically they think they're going to spend $200,000 a year in retirement, but could be in the next couple. So retirement is coming, right? It's not like tomorrow, but it could be in the next couple of years. Or they say few years.
So this is a question about their cash bucket in retirement.
I think that's what it is. Am I flawed? Obviously, if I had continued to, so basically they're feeling, they have a fear that they're going to run out of money because they haven't been investing actively. They've been drawing down their portfolio, it sounds like, because they've actually been pulling cash out. It sounds like they pulled $2 million for a home glow up. The answer to this question is hire a financial advisor, first of all, but I will still try to answer. I mean, they have questions that people are just not going to be able to answer. Even a financial advisor might not be able to answer accurately. If you ask 5 different advisors, you'll get
the answer to this question, you're going to get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
Potentially 10 different answers because there's going to be multiple ways to tackle the problem. So 3 years cash bucket, I don't even know. We don't really do pre-retirement planning like this of this nature.
We do.
Right?
It's just not the majority of our clients, but we absolutely do. And this is, this is part of the conversation.
Yeah. But like literally you and I.
Oh, no.
Like our firm does this a lot, but I would not have the answer to this question
yes,
in terms
John,
of the exact
Ed, Cody,
amount.
Caitlin, Curtis.
Yeah.
They all know how to do this, but we don't. Yes. We being the hosts of this podcast.
Yeah, sorry. Not the proverbial we, the literal we.
Yeah. We, the idiots of the United States of America.
And they also just don't have enough information here. Like, what's their social security flow going to look like? It just says early 50s. That there's like a 5-year window there of like, that means if you're making $800K per year, that's $4 million of potential additional assets pre-tax. So like, you got to get more specific here instead of just saying early 50s.
Well, also, I mean, obviously they pulled a rule of thumb, right? They read somewhere that you should have 3 years of living expenses in cash, liquid, ready for whatever you need, right? That's what they're basing this whole thing on. And then all the commenters are going in and saying, we have the same thing. We're that's our goal too. And it's like, that's a rule of thumb that someone made up in some book, and 15, financial advisor pundits like us repeated that rule. Like that's not financial advice. That's just making yourself feel better that you committed to something. Like, I mean, if I were these people, I'm more aggressive. I have a better understanding of how the markets work. I would feel more comfortable with way less cash than 3 years of living expenses. You invest your portfolio accordingly, and a financial advisor figures out which assets are strategic to sell and sends you the money that you need. Like, that's how you have arbitrage here. Like, what are we doing?
600K of cash on a $9 million portfolio. That's almost a 10% allocation to cash. That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wrong answer.
Wrong.
Wrong. You're in your early 50s. You need to have that stuff invested so it can grow, so that hopefully you're going to live 50 more years, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess counterpoint, they know that they have these big cash dumps coming up. They've got a kid in college that's going to be, they're $100,000 a year, depending on where you're going, maybe 50 if you're going to state school. Like, they know that's coming up. So like, maybe they don't want to sell some of their portfolio during these high earning years. They're identifying that these are probably like their highest income years. So the minute they retire, that's going to come down. But I don't know. It sounds like some.
Here's how easy it is. This is what drives me crazy about people that don't hire financial advisors. They're not doing 529s. If they 5-year funded a 529 and they're in California with an 11% tax rate, you're talking about roughly $80,000 of tax deduction, which is going to save you $8,000 just from that one piece of advice or the administration of that contribution to the account. So that's year one of your financial advisor fees. Probably. Maybe it's 15, 20K because you have so much money, but you have so much money that it's even more valuable for you to talk to a professional about this thing. Okay. So, also wrong answer. 2 wrong answers.
Yeah.
Rich people, personal finance.
I know, but people like to do, and you know what? The moment that they retire, what they're going to do is they're going to muck around in their portfolio, and they're going to run out of money because they're going to be bored because they're obviously successful and they have these important, stressful jobs. Those jobs are going to go away. They're going to be like, what do I do with my time? I'm retired at 55. I've still got lots of life left. I'm gonna become an expert in personal finance because I'm already in Reddit all day long, and I'm gonna muck around in my portfolio, and I'm gonna actually make it so that I probably have to go back to work in my 80s because I do something stupid. And these are smart people, right? These are smart people who, I don't know, what is this movement of like, I can handle this. I'm rawr, like I can change the oil in my car, like I can manage $10 million because I'm a professional because I read something on Reddit. Like, what is going on?
Right. Yeah, we also have a $1.3 million down payment on a home. And then we have multiple kids going off to college. So I'm assuming there's going to be a huge empty nest at some point in the next 5-6 years. The kids are going to move away. They're probably going to nice schools. So they're probably going to get jobs. And, I doubt they're all coming home after college. So what are we going to do? How are we going to draw down from this mixture of their $9 million of brokerage and retirement plans? Half of it is brokerage, half of it is retirement plan. What do you think the asset split is there, AJ? Do you think they have all of the asset locations accurate with the municipal bonds and the brokerage account and then the stocks? So that's goof. So that's probably costing them a ton of money per year. And then when it comes to which account to withdraw from, are they doing the right accounts pre Social Security kicking in? Are they running the numbers on pulling from the 401k versus the HSA versus the 529 versus there's just so many opportunities to goof this year.
Right. And when we say these things, like what you were just saying probably sounds like gobbledygook to like most people. Right. And that's
sorry, I don't know who's listening.
But like that's the point, right? Like it's complex enough that like you need help. Like this is a full-time job. Anyway, hire a freaking advisor. Okay.
Yeah.
Easier. I got an easier question for you. I got a nice softball.
Sorry for the indignance, but and also they might have already. I'm sorry. Before we transit, they might have already hired a financial advisor, and they're just on here getting free advice from other people to back up whatever their advisor is offering to them. So
unlikely, but sure.
Yeah, unlikely, but hopefully people that can make $800,000 per year can get multiple opinions and have the wherewithal to, this is free advice, right? It doesn't hurt at all. It costs them probably 10 minutes to post this question. So hopefully they're doing that instead of just using this as their sole method of strategizing for their family's future.
Yep. All right. Got a question.
Sorry, easier question.
Friend of the pod. I got a text message from a dear friend of the pod. It was a link to Wealthfront's 5% APY savings account. And they said, do we like this 5% interest rate savings account? What is the catch? Right. So here's someone going like, this sounds too good to be true. Like, what's the catch here? Wealthfront is a robo-advisor platform, and they're offering a cash account at 5%. What's the catch? I mean, I got opinions. What are yours?
It's been a second since I've looked into the robo people. There was Betterment and Wealthfront were the original ones, and then wasn't there a woman?
There's Ellevest. Yep, Ellevest.
Yeah,
I think they just hit $1 billion. I don't remember. Yeah, they've been growing steadily.
Yeah, ever since the pandemic, since we kind of. They haven't had a ton of innovation since like 2022. I feel like they had a ton of innovation from 2012 to 2022 in terms of rolling out their automated trading platforms and doing as much as a computer can do in terms of algorithmically getting your asset allocation where it needs to be. But and they tried to roll out I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent about these other platforms that are like low cost, 25 bips, but low service as well. Anyway, Wealthfront has. I mean, I don't know. What is there any difference between the Wealthfront account and just all the other high yield savings accounts?
Here's the catch. Here's the catch. So, all right, so 5%. If you have all your money at Chase or Bank of America or your local credit union, you're probably getting 0.02% interest on your savings account, right? So when
I think I get 0.01% on my Chase.
0.01. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Why do you have a Chase savings account? Let's talk about this after class, sir.
No, I don't. I don't have. I think there's. There's one from like 2009 in there, like hanging out with a zero balance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you're used to that, and then you go to Ally Bank or American Express or this Wealthfront account, and you see 4 or 5%, like your mind is going to be blown. So what's the catch with So where do these higher interest rates come from, right? These higher interest rates are mostly these online banks or these brokerage firms who want your money to be with them. They want you to take your money out of Chase and put it into Ally Bank so then they can go loan it to somebody else to finance a car or a house, right? So they're basically offering you a promotional rate to get your money to move. So that's why the rates are higher. Now, is 5% that much higher than Ally and now the other ones?
Is it promotional or is it, because promotional makes me feel like it'll expire at some point.
Well, it's promotional in that it's going to fluctuate. Like they want you to get your money there right away. So they're going to actually take a loss in that their rate is actually going to be higher. They're losing money on your investments there, right? Like they can't actually, the difference between what they're able to loan it out at and what they're paying you in interest that's a much smaller margin for them because they want to move your money away, right? So Wealthfront is I looked it up. Wealthfront's like slightly higher than like Ally Bank and Amex because they want your money there, so you'll put your money in their investment platform, right? So they are actually, this is a promotion. That's the loss leader.
Of course, that's the loss leader, yeah.
So I think that's the catch, right? Honestly, it's not like a huge gotcha. It's just they want you to put your money there, so you'll use their brokerage platform. I would say I would be aware of one little catch in that it is very hard to get your money out of some of these brokerage firms. They look very, how do we say this? Like tech forward and easy to use and beautiful websites and click here and fund this. And then when you actually go to get your money out, you may find that you're getting a paper check sent to you or you need a medallion signature. Like it is, once the money is there, Wealthfront or Betterment or Ellevest is often backed by these much smaller regional trust companies that don't make it it's not like one button click to get your money back to your Chase or Bank of America account. So that I would say that's the catch there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all these banks for hundreds of years have made money off of float, like the difference between what they're paying you and what they're getting paid by when they lend your money to somebody else. And that's why a lot of these savings accounts or checking accounts have minimum balances, right? Like my Mexican bank account requires $5,000 in it every month. Otherwise, they charge me $25 a month in order to do that. Chase doesn't do that to us anymore because we have so much activity with Chase, much more than a typical retail account. But a minimum balance means that across their billion or 100 million customers, as long as they have $2,500 of a minimum balance, they'll have $250 billion to loan out in terms of mortgages, and they'll earn 6%, and they only have to pay 1%. So the spread of 5% on all those billions is how a bank makes its money. It's not too complicated.
I don't know. I think like just a good reference point for listeners is something called the Fed funds rate, right? Like just Google that. That's the number that your interest rate should be, I don't know, within 1% of that. That's a good interest rate, right? If the Fed funds rate right now is 5.25% to 5.5% right now. So if your interest rate at your bank, your savings account is not paying you at least 4.2%, there's probably a better option out there. And that's why Wealthfront's able to offer this 5% because it's pretty close. But it is higher than most. So I found that interesting.
Yeah. As somebody that would chase high interest rates for a long time, moving from bank to bank to get maybe like a 0.5%, like if you find a place that is offering 4.5%, and then you want to move it to a place that's offering 5%, just fucking don't, honestly. Like just stick to where you're comfortable. I've been an Ally Bank user for 4 or 5 years now. They pay a 0.5 to 1 percentage point less than the hottest new bank that pops up with some sort of promotional offer. But the cost of opening accounts, closing accounts, losing track of your money, doing the transfers, that adds up to a part-time job. Just take the L and get 0.5 percentage point less. Unless you're like constantly saving up millions of dollars in cash for some weird real estate investment purpose or
tax.
You have some other mandate that requires that, then chasing that return is not what our listeners are trying to do. So do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, look, I think that's my issue with Reddit Personal Finance is like a lot of this stuff is just, I'm bored. I need something to do. I get to feel smart because I've got an edge here. And when you chase credit card rewards points, when you chase interest rates, like you feel like you're getting something, but all of this is just marketing. Every single move, every single promotion, every single thing that you think you're getting in the financial services industry, for the most part, is designed to make that company money off of you rather than you winning, right? So you might get to park your money there forever, but then you'll forget about the checking account and they'll charge you $15 a month for the rest of your entire life, and you didn't know about that. So that ate away all the interest, the promotional interest you got. So yes, I agree. At this point, it's like, yeah, do you want a full-time job moving your cash around, or do you just want to find a bank that works and has an app that you like?
I totally forgot I had a Mexican bank account.
Oops.
You'd add to the old balance sheet. So thanks for the reminder.
Oh boy. We should just do our financial plans on this podcast. Okay. I think we got time for one more question.
Yeah, this is a funny one.
This is a fun one. I've been offered a stake in my family's food and beverage business. The business isn't open yet, and one of the partners backed out last minute. I want to do this. I want to do this because it's my family and I believe in this business. What questions should I be asking? When is this a good idea? Be nice, Shane.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Well, my first question is, why did the other investor back out? You'll probably never get the answer to that. You and I we've had the same opinion when it comes to individual stock investments since we started the firm, AJ. It's that as long as you have less than 5 to 10% of your portfolio invested in a single asset or a concentrated position, then you're well diversified and you can do whatever you want with that reserve, right? Mm-hmm. So my question to this listener is, do we have $750,000 in other investments or real estate elsewhere? If so, I don't care. Like, take a risk, roll the dice, use that $75,000 either as, I would personally view this as gambling. I would personally view this as, I'm not going to get my $75,000 back. If this family member is a little bit erratic, or even if they're fantastic family members, 4-star family member, I still would not expect to get any of it back. I would use the $75K as an excuse to get closer to people in my life that I love and care about and expect nothing in return. What are your thoughts?
I like that. Yeah, I think that I was offered an investment in a really exciting food and beverage business in Brooklyn like 6 months ago. And it was a really similar situation. It was like, oh, someone backed out at the last minute and the opening's delayed and they're looking for last minute investors. It's going to be a huge hit. You know, do you want to invest? And I was like, no, I don't want to invest. And I was like, it looks awesome. This restaurant looks, and it is awesome. Actually, I haven't been yet, but all the critics say it's awesome. It's always packed. It's right in my neighborhood. And I'm like, do I feel regret or remorse that I didn't invest in this restaurant? I'm like, no, I don't. I look forward to going to this restaurant as a patron and not getting stressed out every time I walk by it, knowing if I'm going to get my $10,000 back. Like, I'm happy to go there and spend $180 on two drinks and some oysters.
Yeah.
And like, maybe as an investor, I would have gotten 10% off I think investing in businesses as a minority, right? Not a founder, not a co-founder, as a minority is
not as a white person.
It's about ego, right? It's about you get to walk in to this establishment or you get to at a party say, oh, I'm an investor in X company. You know, I think investing in anything with your family is messy. This is a hard no from me, aside from your good reason about just the rule of thumb about 5 to 10% of your total liquid net worth. I would disagree with you. I would not include house in that. It's hard to get money out of your house. Yes, of course you could sell it, but you still need a place to live. So I'm going to say total liquid net worth. 10% of that would be my absolute max. Throwing family into it, that's messy. I mean, obviously saying no could also be messy. So maybe you have to say yes. Maybe this isn't a question. This is I'm doing this. And that's kind of what they asked, right? What questions should I be asking? I think you need to see a business plan. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter, but I think you need to know, obviously, what type of ownership you're being offered. Is it partnership? Like, what kind of tax return can you expect? Remember, folks, the moment when you invest in something, typically one of the most popular forms of business entity to do that is a partnership. And when you are an investor in a partnership, you get something called a K1. And you know when K1s are ready? Not until September 14th, often, Shane Mason, which means that you can never file your tax return on time, which, you know, is fine. A lot of people go on an extension, but it does cause all sorts of issues with cash flow. So just something to think about as you're potentially looking at making these little minority investments in bars and restaurants, various businesses. I don't like complexity, man. As I get older, I feel like who's that actor in the Western movies who's like, get off my lawn?
You're talking about
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah.
Yeah. Like
Gran Torino.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Simplicity.
I don't know why he's involved in this.
I was just like, I want simplicity.
He plays a grumpy old man in a lot of movies.
I'm a grumpy old man is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, simplicity is expensive for sure. Like with all the complexity that you might be able to squeeze out in terms of utilizing credit card rewards points or having a rental unit that could have an ROI of 9-10% if you rent it out to the right people and do all your own repairs. You know, I think Elon Musk is a good example here of somebody that he sold all of his possessions because he's so rich that he doesn't need to own anything, right? Like he just rents anything that he wants anywhere in the world. And he has no concerns about, securing a door. I mean, he also has access to, a locked door, so to speak. So I think, simplicity is expensive. Think about Macs as compared to like Windows machines, et cetera. Like you're paying for somebody to take care of these things for you.
I disagree with that. The way that's I think complexity is expensive. I think simplicity is free. I think simplicity makes things a lot easier.
Okay. Well, I think hiring somebody to take care of everything for you is a form of simplicity, right? And that's kind of
that's where I'm going eliminating all the complexity and not having to deal with it, which is free.
Well, assuming that with the complexity comes, it's something is cheaper because it's more complex or harder to use, or something is more expensive because you're investing in different forms of assets because they have a higher return on investment. Things of this nature is what I'm trying to say. It's obviously not complexity is always going to be more expensive, but when it comes to a concierge experience where everything's taken care of, it's generally more expensive.
Okay. I'll buy it.
Disagree and commit.
Yeah, I'm disagreeing and committing. So yes, what other questions should this person ask if they're moving forward? They're buying a stake in a business. Oh, sorry, offered a stake, which is confusing because I guess they don't have to buy in, but
Oh, well, I mean, if they're offered a stake, so this happens a lot actually, and it catches people by surprise where they just receive the valuation of a business, like they're going to get 10% of this business. In reality, they have received something of value, and that should show up on their tax return, right? So whether if you don't buy into something, like if you don't pay for something and you receive it, that's taxable income, right? Like that's if you don't have to pay anything for something you receive. Right, that's you've received something for nothing, and therefore that's income. So that should show up on your tax return. So if they don't pay the $75K for the interest in the brewery, then they're going to have to pay tax on the $75K of value that they've received in the brewery, so to speak. I imagine they've been offered an investment though.
Yeah,
where they'll have to contribute the $75K. In which case, they're going to have to, they're going to have to deal with the tax returns. They're going to have to deal with the family involvement. They're going to get reports on the company. I mean, to echo your concern about something going away in value, I would only like hotels and restaurants and bars, I feel like are the ultimate vanity investment after you have your personal needs fulfilled, right? Like I want to be perceived as an owner or a contributor to my local neighborhood. It's very cool to own a hotel. It's very cool to own a bar. But in reality, the majority of the owners of these places are passive investors that just say that they're owners, right? But it goes a long way for people that don't understand that. Which is fine, like whatever.
Yeah, like, and the likelihood that your return on your investment outpaces the stock market is extremely unlikely. The likelihood that your return on investment outpaces the growth of real estate is unlikely. It's just a bad, and from a pure investment standpoint, the chances that you never see that money ever again is very high, right? Like we're not talking about like, oh, I got my money back and I only got 1% a year. Like that money's gone, period. And you can you can maybe write it off, but another thing to think about is you can only write off a loss when that business has failed. And often what we see is these businesses kind of like trickle into another corporation and then the space is getting rented to someone else. So you actually don't ever get to see the loss. So it might be years until you can actually get some kind of help on your tax return, some kind of reduction from that loss. And it might not be next year. It could take 20 years. We've seen this before.
Yeah, and you're making me realize like another element of what makes this cool is like not expecting to get your money back is like gambling. Right? Yeah. It's like spending money. It's like that is frankly cool. Right? Like I'm contributing something to the neighborhood and I'm not expecting to get anything back. Like I've got it like that. Like I've got enough money. Like it's way cooler than putting all your money in Facebook or like the S&P 500, right? Like somebody that needs to, it's almost like somebody that doesn't need the money can put it into these types of investments, not expecting to get it back. The neighborhood gets a restaurant or a bar that everyone enjoys. Whatever. I don't know. Yep.
Just playing. Well, I prefer playing with the house's money personally. So.
Well, yeah, of course. Of course.
I obviously know a lot about gambling.
Yeah, I don't think that analogy is appropriate here. Perfect AJ segue into reading us out.
The end. Thank you so much for listening. Email us your financial problems at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com. Leave us a voicemail at memo.fm/liquidityevent and we will play it on the air. And finally, Stans can leave us a review if they want to be weird about it. We'll see you next week. Maybe we might not have a show next week, but we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.